Okay, so hi guys, my name is Mayana, and today I'm going to be recommending you romance books that read like rom-coms. Pretty much all the like covers with cartoons on them do read like rom-coms, but some of them like kind of trick you. So like there are some that like sound like a really good rom-com, and you go into it and you're like, this book was actually sad. So I'm going to be recommending you books where like I know it's not going to be sad. Like I've already read all of these. I love all of these. They really do have rom-com vibes, and I do read a lot of romance. Like I read adult romance, I read dark romance, I read like, you know, all kinds of romance. So I know what I'm talking about here. So, you know, trust me, I will never steer you wrong. And so we're just gonna get into the recommendations. The first book I have to recommend to you guys is The Worst Best Man, and this book is about this girl who she's getting married and her husband leaves her at the altar, and so the best man, who is also his brother, is the one who convinced him. Sorry the way I'm angling in the book, I didn't want it to like, the way that my autofocus is, it wouldn't have focused on me, it would focus on the book. So yeah, so the best man, who is also his brother, is the one who convinced him to leave her. So a few years later goes by and she's working on his wedding as a wedding planner. Now, why would you work as a wedding planner when you got left at the altar? I would never want to look at another wedding, think about another wedding. The fact that she's working on one, she's brave. The brothers end up owning this hotel and she has to work with the best man, and they end up falling in love, and it has a shared bed trope. And this one was so good, not to mention that the main character is Afro-Brazilian, so you get a Afro-Brazilian main character. And I just thought that this book was really fun. It's a romance, so it's quick and it's cute. Next book I have is The Right Swipe. I know that the author is a person of color, but the main character in this book is black, and then the guy is Somalian. And I thought this book was really good. It wasn't like, I don't want to say really good, like this book is like a 3-star read, not to deter you from reading it because it's still a fun book. So this book is about this girl who works for an app, and he also works for an app, like a rivaling, well, his aunt works for an app, and they dated before. So he ghosted her, so now she kind of has some ill feelings towards him because he ghosted her. So she doesn't really want to put up with him, but his aunt works for an app and they kind of are working together, so they have to fake date because the public like got a picture of them and they like how they look together, so now they have to fake date. And I thought this book was fun. The next book I want to recommend to you is Sweet Hand, and this one is about this girl who just got broken up with, and she makes sweets, and the guy, he's a DJ, he's also bi, and they both hate each other. And because they have the same friend, their friend is having a wedding and they're both in the wedding, so they both have to put up with each other, so it's forced proximity. And I thought this book, I want to keep being like, yeah, I thought this book got fun, I thought this book was cute, but yeah, I really like the main character because he was bi and he was soft, and a lot of the time, like, authors, I mean, a lot of times you don't really get to see soft black men, so I really like that the author wrote that, and the smut was magnificent. So the next book I have is For Vacation Only, and also this one is on Kindle Unlimited, but I bought it physically because I wanted to support the author. But this one is about this guy who, and he just got left at the altar. He just got left at the He just got left at the altar as well, and he has to take this cruise for the honeymoon. And the main character works on the cruise, and she's a singer, and he ends up meeting her on the cruise, and she ends up being his like tour guide, and they end up falling in love. And it was Friends to Lovers, which I don't typically like Friends to Lovers, but I ate this one up. So I think I do like Friends to Lovers, I just kind of have to be a bit more picky with what I'm reading. The next book I want to recommend to you guys is Shipped, which this also takes place on a cruise, and this one is about this girl who works for this company. It's a cruise company, and the main character, she's never seen him before, he's never came into the office. He actually lives in Michigan, which I also live in Michigan, just in case you didn't know that. And they usually like video chat and stuff like that, and she doesn't like him because she had this idea, and the boss took the idea and credited him for it, and instead of being like, oh no, this was all her, he just kind of was like, yeah, and like nodding and smiling. She didn't like that, so now she doesn't like him, and she proposes the idea to work with this cruise, and the boss likes the idea, but he's like, yeah, so the main male character is gonna go along with you. She's kind of mad at first, but she really gets to enjoy this cruise, and she takes her sister with her, and they have to deal with each other, and it was fun. One thing I didn't like about this book was it's enemies to lovers, but enemies to lovers is used so loosely. I would like to say this was like an understanding to lovers, because a lot of times like enemies to lovers, like they're enemies for a reason. Like in most romance books there is never really enemies to lovers, it's usually hate to love. And like I don't even want to say it's hate to love. I mean it is, like don't get me wrong, but it's always a big misunderstanding in romance books. There's one book I am going to recommend to you guys where it's not a big misunderstanding, but it's always like, oh, you thought this happened but this is really what happened. Like give me some, if you want enemies to lovers you should read dark romance. Those really be enemies to lovers, which I have a video recommending dark romance, by the way. I have like 2 actually. The only thing I didn't like about this book was the fact it was like, oh no, it's a big misunderstanding. But other than that, I thought the book was fun. It really read like a rom-com. It's such a good summer read because it takes place on a cruise. The next book I want to recommend to you is Can You Keep Your Secret by Sophie Kinsella. And obviously this is the perfect book for a rom-com because Sophie Kinsella wrote Confessions of a Shopaholic, like a rom-com, like the rom-com. And I haven't read Confessions of a Shopaholic, but this is like my first Sophie Kinsella book I've read, and this book was like so amazing. It's about this girl who, she, you know, everyone has secrets. Now her secrets are a bit lame, I'm not gonna lie. Everyone has secrets, and she is on this plane. She drunk too much, the turbulence is kind of iffy. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die on this plane. So she starts spilling all of her secrets to this random guy next to her, and he's just like, oh, you know. And so they go back to work. The man is her boss. The man is her boss. And instead of like being weird about it, the boss is really funny to me because he like kind of I don't know what it's called, but he kind of like picks with her. He kind of like messes with her. So, there is this character who's like always doing something to annoy her. So he's like, how do you feel about this person? Or like there's something that, like, you know, that always like she can't work the printer. So he's like, can you come help me fix the printer? Or can you come teach me how to use a printer? Like he knows this stuff and he's like purposely messing with her. The only thing about this book that I didn't like is that she had a boyfriend in this book, and he was like nice and sweet and there wasn't anything wrong with him. And like there are relationships like that, like sometimes things just don't work out. But it's like I wanted her to break up with the boyfriend sooner so that she can get with the boss, because it just felt like too soon. But other than that, this book was so fun. It was like a 4-star read. It had me giggling. Like I love the love interest and the main character together. Like I just thought this book was super fun, and it really reminded me of a rom-com, like so much. And then the next 3 books I have are the Brown Sister series. So we have Get a Life Chloe Brown, Take a Hint Dani Brown, and Actor Age Eve Brown. Now Actor Age Eve Brown is the only one that I have not read yet, but I've read the other 2, so I can't talk about them. So Get a Life Chloe Brown is about this girl who has fibromyalgia, and she basically lives in her own apartment and she has a list to give a life. And then there's Red, who's kind of like the apartment's like handyman, and the apartment is actually owned by his friend, so he just kind of works there so he can live there. And then he doesn't like her because he thinks that she's like a princess and like she's spoiled and all this stuff, and she doesn't like him because she thinks he's just like I don't want to say a hoodlum, but a white equivalent to a hoodlum. And so he ends up like helping her with this list, and they like fall in love, and it was so cute. And then you have the second book, which is Take a Hint Dani Brown, and this one is about, so basically she gets stuck in the elevator and he helps her out, and then it's caught on video, them coming out. The video goes viral, it's good for them, and so they end up deciding to fake date each other, and then they fall in love. So it's a fake dating trope. And then you have Actor Age Eve Brown, where I haven't read this one, but I'm pretty sure like I can tell you what it's about. So it's about Eve Brown, who is also spoiled. She doesn't want to grow up, and her parents kind of just put her on like this, like basically no more money for her until she gets a job of her own. And so she ends up going to like this this B&B where she meets the main character, and he doesn't like her because he feels like she doesn't take things too seriously and she's like annoying, and they end up like falling in love. So I can't wait to get to this one now. Like this is one I feel like is going to be my favorite. So far Dani Brown is my favorite, but I feel like this one is going to be my favorite. So the next book I have to recommend to you guys is one of my all-time favorite romance books, and that is the Unhoneymooners. And this one is a great summer read. So the Unhoneymooners is about the main character, who is Latina. Her sister is getting married, and everyone at the wedding ends up getting sick. So because it's her twin sister's like, hey, can you go on this trip to me? It's non-refundable and we already paid for it. So she goes on a trip, and then the groom's brother goes, the groom's brother goes on the trip as well, because they have the same last name, because they're brothers, and they don't like each other. The sister, the main character, and the love interest do not like each other. Like, they are enemies. Like, it's hate to love. They hate each other, and it is a misunderstanding trope, sadly, but I still think this book is good. Like, I read this book like twice in one summer once, which I rarely ever reread books, so that should tell you a lot. So they're going to Hawaii, and they're doing like couple things, and there's like a shared bed trope, and I just personally like really love this book. This is like the first and only Christina Lauren book that I've read that I've enjoyed. People aren't really liking Christina Lauren books anymore, so I don't really see a point in giving them a try, and I didn't like their other books. So this one doesn't really have any smut though. So it's Fade to Black, but it's like the only Fade to Black book I will ever recognize, okay? And then you have Not the Girl You Married, which is a How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days remake, but also gender flipped. So he's doing like How to Lose a Girl in 10 Days, and I thought this book was really fun. I like the main character because she was kind of like, she would always cuss, like she had a potty mouth. She's a black girl, she is mixed. And the next books I have are a series, and I have read all the books in the series. So I have Fix Her Up, Love Her or Lose Her, and Tools of Engagement. I think my favorite in this series might be Love Her or Lose Her. So Fix Her Up is about this girl and brother's best friend trope, which I love that trope, and I wish more romances follow that trope. So she's been in love with her older brother's best friend all her life, and he's a baseball player, and he's kind of like, he kind of is not playing baseball anymore because he broke his like foot or something like that. And instead of moping around, she's like, get up, like we're not going to be sad anymore. So she gets him a job at her brother's business. Well, she doesn't really get him a job, like, you know, because they're best friends. So yeah, and she needs someone to come fix, like, I think it's like her chimney or something like that. And she's a clown, like she literally is a clown. The smut and dirty talk in this book is amazing in my opinion. I know a lot of people did not like the dirty talk, and a lot of people found it corny, but I personally really liked it in this book. There was a really good jealousy scene. One thing about me is what will guarantee a book 5 stars is a good jealousy scene. And so then you have Love Her or Lose Her, which this one is about a married couple's second chance romance. And this book is when I discovered that I actually really do love second chance romances between married couples. Like, that is like my favorite thing right now. So they're already married, and she just feels like they lost their spark, so she wants to like separate for a bit, and he's like, nah. So but she separates anyways, and she realizes that, like, one thing I liked about this book was she realizes that he used to do a lot of things for her. Now, why did she not realize all the stuff that he did for her? Because he would do stuff like start her car in the morning so it was warm, or like he would do like small stuff like that, like stuff that you notice another person is doing. If I got into my car in the wintertime and it was warm, I would think somebody was in there trying to kill me, you know? So he used to do a lot of stuff for her, but they get that spark back, and I just love this couple. And then we have Tools of Engagement, which this one is about, like, they're on this like home improvement TV shows, and he was introduced in the second book. And so I like when you can like see a romance starting up between characters in another book. So I thought that was cool. I also like, I think I ended up giving this one like 4 stars, but I don't like when authors describe what characters are wearing. Tessa Bailey does that a lot, and I don't know if Tessa Bailey can't dress, but she needs to stop describing what characters are reading, because also this is Enemies to Love, this is Hate to Love, and they're on a home improvement show, and he has a niece. So I really like that. Like, there's a scene where the niece has some friends coming over, and he doesn't know what to do, so he calls the main character up, and like I love that scene. Like, I thought it was like so cute. Next book I have is not a series, but it is by the same author, and that is People We Meet on Vacation and Beach Read. Now, I will say Beach Read is more on like the serious note, so if you don't know what Beach Read is about, where have you been? This book is about this girl who dad passes away, and he leaves her the beach house, and she's going to sell it. So she goes to the beach house and she's cleaning it out, and she ends up noticing that her arch nemesis, her rival from college, lives next door. And at first they pretend like they don't know each other, which I thought was like so funny, and then they decide that they want to write each other's genre because they both are authors, and they end up like falling in love with each other. And I thought that this one, I know, like, I like People We Meet on Vacation better, but I cannot wait to see what Emily Henry writes next, because this book was just so good. And like, I thought I was gonna cry, and I thought it was gonna be like a lot more serious than what it was, because people were like, oh, it's a rom-com, but it's like one of those rom-coms where it tricks you into thinking it's a romance book, but you know, it's like one of those romance books that trick you into thinking it's a romance book, but it's actually chick lit, and it's not. Like it has a little bit more, but it's not like too much, and you're not like, I personally just loved it. So then the next book is People We Meet on Vacation, and this one is my favorite. This one is about Alex and Poppy. As you can see, it's like the only one where I remember like both the couples' names. But Alex and Poppy are best friends, and they always go on vacations together every year until one year it stops. So you follow like a dual timeline of like vacations they went on before in like the present day. And so Poppy ends up getting Alex to go on vacation with her one last time. And this one is estranged best friends to lovers. And I don't really like, as you can tell, I didn't really like friends to lovers, but I am starting to like, I love best friends to lovers. Childhood best friends to lovers, childhood enemies to best friends to lovers, even better. So I've noticed that I love estranged best friends to lovers. Like, that is one of my favorite tropes ever. So I really enjoy reading this and them rekindling their friendship. And like, I really love Poppy as a character. She was really like quirky and like cutesy, and I like that. And so the next book I have is a part of a series, but I have not read the other books in the series yet. And so the next book I have is Well Met, and this one is about this girl whose sister is, I think, well, is my cover messed up? Her sister is basically in a wheelchair, or she like basically she can't really walk, and so the main character goes back to her hometown to help her sister take care of her daughter, which is the main character's niece. And the main character niece is involved with this Renaissance fair that happens every single summer, and so she gets involved with it because she wants to be involved with her niece. And she ends up meeting the main guy, who is really rude to her, and he's mean to her. But when the Renaissance starts, they have like this love thing that happens between their two characters. Like, he's a pirate and she like works in the bar, and like they really have this like this romance going on between their characters, and like everybody loves it. And then it starts to blossom into like the real life. And this one is, yeah, like I said, this is the book I was talking about earlier, where I said it was hate to love, but it wasn't like something that was like, oh, misunderstanding. Like, he literally was just mean to her, but you find out why. Like, it's a good reason. So he's not just like super mean to her. I don't really know if you care about that stuff or not. I don't, but you know, just in case you have morals and you actually care about that kind of stuff, he's not just mean to her, just be mean to her. And then the last books I do have is a series, and the third book is coming out in August, and that would be The Kiss Quotient and The Bride Test. So out of these two, The Bride Test is actually my favorite. A lot of people don't really like The Bride Test, but I personally really liked it. And then I did have an arc of the final book. Hey, I just realized that the covers all match each other, like the spines. Like this book is yellow, and then the next book is red, and like hopefully the spine will be green, so it'll like come, like it'll wrap around. But anyways, so this book is The Kiss Quotient is about this girl, and she has Asperger's, and she wants to learn how to have sex better. So she ends up going to a sex worker, which is Michael, and he ends up like teaching her how to have sex, and they actually end up in a fake relationship a little bit, and they end up like falling in love with each other. And then you have The Bride Test, where the love interest mom goes to Vietnam to get the main character Esme from Vietnam, and she's like, will you marry my son? So it's a marriage of convenience trope, and I thought this one was so cute. And I love I love Kai. Like, he has Asperger's, and he has like no feelings. And this book has like, oh, he's autistic. He doesn't have Asperger's, but he is autistic, and he has like no feelings, but he loves the main character. And it's something about like not having feelings. But it has a good trope where the main character like breaks her leg, and he like rushes to the hospital to like, you know, take care of her. It's so cute. I have to end this video fast before my camera overheats and turns off. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please be sure to like this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video.